Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That practice clip was the first real sign that something inside the Clippers locker room had gone seriously wrong. Chris Paul kept pushing his ideas. He saw things on the floor that he believed needed fixing, and he wasn't shy about saying it. During one sequence, James Harden tried to relay one of Paul's suggestions to Ty Lue. The response was immediate and cold. Ty Lue shut it down without hesitation. At that moment, with the team already sitting at 5-16 and tensions boiling over, the clip exposed just how fractured things had become. And now, Harden has finally explained why that moment mattered. So what happens when one of the greatest point guards of all time brings his intense leadership style into direct conflict with a championship coach's authority? When does accountability turn into disruption? And how did James Harden, almost accidentally, help reveal one of the most dramatic locker room collapses in recent NBA history? The answers point to something bigger than one argument or one practice clip. They reveal organizational dysfunction, clashing egos, and a franchise spiraling during the 2025-26 season. The LA Clippers entered the year with championship expectations. Instead, they became the center of one of the most controversial player-coach breakups the league has seen in years. At the heart of it all was Chris Paul, the 19-year veteran whose voice has lifted franchises and, at times, torn them apart. But what unfolded between Paul, head coach Ty Lue, and the Clippers front office went far beyond a normal basketball disagreement. This is a story about power, respect, broken communication, and a Hall of Famer being sent home in the middle of the night during a road trip. To understand how it all fell apart, we have to rewind to July 2025. Chris Paul signed a one-year veteran minimum deal with the Clippers, returning to the franchise where he once spent 6 seasons. The move was marketed as a homecoming. Internally, Paul was viewed not just as a player, but as a mentor, almost an extension of the coaching staff. The Clippers believed his basketball IQ and experience could guide a veteran-heavy roster led by James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, alongside new additions like Bradley Beal, Brook Lopez, and John Collins. On paper, it made sense. A veteran point guard, a high IQ leader, a bridge between players and coaches. Paul had done this before, most notably in Oklahoma City, where he helped mentor young stars like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But from the opening weeks of the season, something felt off. The Clippers stumbled out of the gate, and as the losses piled up, the tension underneath the surface grew stronger. Their 5-16 record wasn't just about missed shots or bad rotations. It exposed deeper issues: roster construction, injury management, and most importantly, leadership breakdowns. Bradley Beal underwent season-ending surgery almost immediately. Kawhi Leonard, dealing with a sprained ankle, played just 11 of the team's first 22 games. That pressure landed squarely on James Harden, now 37 years old, carrying a massive workload night after night. Into that chaos stepped Chris Paul. Paul's reputation as one of the NBA's most demanding leaders is well known. Charles Barkley once called him the best leader of his generation, and for good reason. Paul studies film obsessively. He holds teammates accountable. He challenges authority when he thinks something isn't right. As Devin Booker once said, Chris isn't for everybody. And the Clippers were about to learn that the hard way. The first major flashpoint came during a loss to Dallas in November 2025. Paul advised Kawhi Leonard to switch off guarding Klay Thompson, citing Kawhi's minutes restriction and visible struggles in that matchup. To Paul, it was a simple basketball adjustment. To the coaching staff, it was a line being crossed. After the game, assistant coach Jeff Van Gundy confronted Paul, accusing him of changing coverages without approval. The exchange grew heated, with Van Gundy telling him, "You might have had leeway in other places, but you don't have that leeway here." Paul responded publicly, posting the dictionary definition of leeway on Instagram. The message was clear. He wasn't backing down. But the real damage was happening behind closed doors. During an early October practice, Paul suggested a structured offensive set to James Harden. Harden, trying to help, related to Ty Lue. What happened next became one of the defining moments of the entire saga. Ty Lue shut it down instantly. "This is what we're doing. CP ain't got no name on it." A hot mic then caught Harden echoing the sentiment. "CP ain't got no name on it. Just get the ball and run the action." The optics were brutal. Here was James Harden, arguably the team's offensive engine, publicly reinforcing the coach's dismissal of Paul's ideas. For a player whose identity is built around being a floor general, it was a deep cut. Paul's role on the court was already shrinking. He averaged just 3.9 points and 3.3 assists in 14 minutes per game. Now, his off-court influence was being rejected too. Reports soon surfaced that Paul and Ty Lue stopped speaking outside of necessary on-court communication. Paul requested those meetings to clear the happened. Former NBA champion Kendrick Perkins later revealed that this wasn't about one or two incidents. According to Perkins, Paul was going behind the staff's back, whispering to players, contradicting instructions, and creating confusion when the team was already struggling. The breaking point came during a late November film session. Paul's blunt critiques, directed at coaches, management, and teammates, were seen as disruptive rather than constructive. Then came December 3, 2025. The Clippers were in Atlanta when team president Lawrence Frank flew in to meet Chris Paul. Due to travel delays, the meeting didn't happen until around 3 a.m. in a hotel room. That's when Paul was told he was being waived. Minutes later, Paul posted on Instagram, "Just found out I'm being sent home. Peace." A 19-year veteran, a future Hall of Famer, sent home in the middle of the night. Lawrence Frank later insisted this wasn't about scapegoating Paul. He admitted the organization was failing on multiple levels, starting with himself. But the damage was done. Was Paul toxic, or was he telling uncomfortable truths? That question split the basketball world. Some argued the Clippers couldn't handle accountability. Others believed Paul crossed too many lines. Ty Lue denied giving Paul the silent treatment, admitted the situation was difficult, and said removing Paul wouldn't magically fix the team. Players were stunned. Harden said, "There was a lot we were dealing with." Kawhi Leonard called the decision shocking. Blake Griffin criticized the organization for poor communication. Kendrick Perkins backed the decision, saying even legends must respect the chain of command. And here's the irony. The Clippers continued to struggle after Paul's departure. If removing him was supposed to restore order, it didn't. Which leaves us with the real question. Was Chris Paul the problem, or the mirror the Clippers didn't want to look into? That's what makes this saga so fascinating. No clear villains. No clear heroes. Just strong personalities, broken communication, and a franchise once again wrestling with its own culture. And sometimes, instead of fixing the system, organizations choose the easier path. They send the truth teller home. That wraps up this video. For more deep dive NBA stories, check out the next video on you.